Okay, so there's been a lot of fan theories being thrown around right now across social media when it comes to Cyberpunk Edgerunners and the fate of our boy David Martinez at the end of Season 1. The main one I see a lot of theories on is if David is really dead and if there's a potential for a Season 2, both of which I want to dive a little bit deeper into in today's video. I do have some theories of my own, so bear with me. First, I want to go over the very real possibility that David is not actually dead, with the somewhat ambiguous ending to Cyberpunk Edgerunners. If you've seen the Netflix series from CDPR and Studio Trigger, you'd know that David goes out in a blaze of glory and true Street Kid style at the hands of Arasaka's weapon of war and full Borg conversion Atom Smasher. Lucy is currently being whisked away by Falco, as requested by David, knowing that there's a very real possibility of him getting flatlined. Atom Smasher, who's had his fun, decides it's time to end David with a rocket blast straight to the head. So it's assumed that David is dead and we get the depressing ending, which is true for most stories in Night City, with Lucy now forced to face the cold world of Night City all alone. So the first and most obvious angle here is to do with the Soul Killer, the relic in Arasaka's Secure Your Soul program. Based on the events of 2020 and all the way up to 2077, harvesting consciousnesses, if that's even a word, is a favorite pastime of Arasaka. They've even gone as far as punishing Johnny Silverhand back in 2023 by zapping him from his body, leaving him a husk, until sometime after where it's transferred to the Relic prototype as part of the Relic 2.0's trials. Obviously later we steal the chip and somehow find Johnny and his infinite wisdom lodged within our skulls, constantly nagging us and being the overdramatic rocker boy that he is. There are other instances of these trapped psyches being expressed differently in the game as well. If you choose to send Jackie to Victor after his death, then you open up a dialogue option to talk to Jackie's engram in Mikoshi with Hanako. This is because Arasaka raids Victor's clinic, nabbing Jackie in the process, shortly after they catch word that he's being transferred there. The key difference here that we as the player realize is that Jackie is simply memories, reciting and regurgitating lines he said before.
Hit the major leagues, essay! Running with Dex! Badass black Jesus of the afterlife! A heap of Bartley gold-plated cool! Not bad, eh?
You get the sense that because he was brain dead before Arasaka got to him, they could really only interrogate the engram's memories. Either that, or because he wasn't being stored on the latest Relic prototype, the full digitized psyche of Jackie couldn't express true consciousness. This is so much different than Johnny, who was soul killed while being alive, and is also housed on the Relic prototype, Arasaka's latest immortality tech with mass market plans. The results of this is that Johnny Silverhand is a digitized version of the living and breathing Johnny, who at the time very much still had all of his brain function. It's the digitized psyche in the case of Johnny versus just being a memory bank in the case of Jackie. This is likely the result of death, which corrupts the data so to speak, leaving Jackie's engram less complete. Now I know that there are probably a few hundred theories about the Soul Killer and the Relic, so if you have one, I would love to hear them in the comments below. Also upvote those ones that you agree the most with so that they rise to the top. So we have what seems to be two scenarios for David if this theory is correct, and Arasaka still wanted to use David. If he was quote unquote alive and if Arasaka decided to weaponize his consciousness, he could easily be used to hunt down Lucy, who is technically Arasaka's property. This opens up the doors to Season 2. There is also the possibility that they soul killed a brain-dead David, or that they used inferior pre-3.0 soul killer tech, in which case his engram would just be a regurgitation of his memories. Again, something that could also be weaponized. There's also the possibility of alt coming into play if David is preserved and is in Mikoshi. We could also have a reverse Johnny alt situation with David trying to contact Lucy from beyond the Black Wall. I personally think that this is less likely because it doesn't deviate enough from the premise of 2077's main story. Jumping back a bit, we also know that Arasaka offers contracts, and we see it in the devil ending through Cyberpunk 2077's main campaign. Again, David could easily be forced into a contract of some sort as kind of this Smasher 2.0. Of course, this also opens the door to David being an Arasaka baddie in the next Cyberpunk 2077 expansion, which looks like it's going to be pitting Militech against Arasaka. We know that the 5th corporate war is brewing, so there could be a ton of options here. When it comes to Cyberpunk Edgerunners Season 2, I personally don't think that we'll be getting a Season 2, nor would I personally want one. Sequels are almost never as impactful. I think it would cheapen Season 1 to follow some other Edgerunner crew, and obviously there's always the potential there for it to just be a cash grab. Season 2s are also not Trigger's style apparently, so I wouldn't hold your breath for them to be picking it up again. Although market demand will usually dictate what ends up happening, and with Edgerunners being a smash hit, then anything is in the realm of possibility. Now seeing David in some capacity in the expansion, whether that's an Easter egg, shards, his construct somewhere in cyberspace, or something environmental that could signify that David is still out there, I'm game for that. David being an actual baddie recruited by Arasaka, I'm less so into this one, but I know it's something that fans would be into if done right. V versus David in the Phantom Liberty expansion would be an insane moment for the cross-pollination of both mediums, and so far it looks like V is taking the Militech side, so it would make narrative sense. Again, if this is done well, I think it could be a grand slam. In any case, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you want to see an Edgerunners Season 2? Do you want to see David in a Cyberpunk 2077 expansion? Let me know down in the comments below. And for more Cyberpunk Edgerunners content, join the Neon Nation by subscribing to the Neon Arcade.